Welcome into Tailgate Thursday for week number 5 of the 2025 football season. My name is David Morrison from the Ball Society, here to preview the upcoming college football games for this weekend. We begin with our beloved Tennessee Volunteers, ranked number 15 in the country, heading to Starkville to take on the Mississippi State Bulldogs for a 4:15 Eastern Time kickoff on the SEC Network. It's going to be a whiteout for Mississippi State. Going to be a tough environment for Tennessee. Vols coming off the win against UAB, getting back on the winning ways. Now playing their first true road game of the season. Meanwhile, for Mississippi State, defeated a scrappy Northern Illinois team, staying undefeated at 4-0. So can Mississippi State pull off the upset and win their first SEC game in well over a year? Or will Tennessee get their first SEC win of the season and continue in their winning ways? We'll find out as the Vols and the Mississippi State Bulldogs meet Saturday. 7:30 on ABC. Two of the top teams in the SEC the last 20 years, per se. And give and take some other teams, but this has been the two biggest brands, if you will. 17th ranked Alabama heading down to Sanford Stadium to take on the 5th ranked Georgia Bulldogs. Kirby Smart, what can you say about him being the head coach, best college football coach in the country? But this is the team that always gets Kirby. Alabama, remember last year, a classic game in Tuscaloosa, Ryan Williams going off with one of the greatest catches in more recent memory in college football, leading the Crimson Tide to the win over Georgia. Georgia's already had a close game with Tennessee so far on the road. Now they take on another big quality opponent in Alabama, who's improving a lot since that loss to Florida State. Can the Crimson Tide give Kirby another loss, or will Georgia stay undefeated and knock off the Tide? We'll find out as the Tide and the Dogs meet Saturday night. 3:30 on ABC, we head down to the Grove in Oxford, Mississippi. 13th ranked Ole Miss taking on 4th ranked LSU. LSU being number 4 in the country, playing very well, but kind of had a sloppy performance against Florida, and it looked like the winning coach Brian Kelly was more on the hot seat than Billy Napier was after that game, but he's got to shake that off. Of course, they defeated Southeast Louisiana last week. Now they head on the road to take on Ole Miss. The Rebels dominated win over Tulane last Saturday. Trinidad, the new quarterback filling in for Austin Simmons, playing very well. Can Ole Miss pull this big win at home against LSU, or Brian Kelly and the Tigers find a way to get the win? We'll find out as the Tigers and the Rebels meet in the Magnolia Bowl. All right, 3:30 on ESPN. 9th ranked Texas A&M welcomes in the Auburn Tigers. Boy, you talk about a controversial game last week between Auburn and Oklahoma. Jackson Arnold returns back to Norman, and you had that controversial TD in that game, and just a lot of frustration going on the Plains. But now they got to shake it off. They got to play a second straight road game heading to College Station to take on Texas A&M. A&M in the top 10, fresh off a bye, I do believe. And last time the nation saw A&M was a win at Notre Dame. Now their first SEC game of the season as they take on Auburn, but should be fun as the Tigers and the Aggies meet. Noon on ABC, we head to Fayetteville. An interesting matchup here. Number 22 Notre Dame taking on Arkansas. The Irish 1-2 on the year. Defeated Purdue. I think it was last week they played. That was that weird weather delay game and all that stuff, but they get the win. So they're 1-2 right now. They head to a pretty tough environment at Razorback Stadium in Arkansas. But for the Hogs last week, boy, had a big lead on the road at Memphis, and the Tigers of Memphis came back and stole one from the Hogs. So a lot of hot seat talk with Sam Pittman. Taylor Green's still playing well, but seems like he's inconsistent. What's going on with this Arkansas team? But, this Arkansas team under Sam Pittman have pulled off huge home upset wins. Could they strike magic again and knock off the Irish, or will Notre Dame get back to 500 football? We'll find out as the Irish and the Hogs meet high noon on ABC. All right, 7:45 on the SEC Network. Kentucky heading to Columbia to take on South Carolina. It looked like Lenore Sellers was not going to play last week against Mizzou, but he gave it a go. But it's a losing effort in the end. Now it's kind of desperation mode for the Gamecocks. Meanwhile for Kentucky, just kind of been a very blah season to this point. Try to find a way to rejuvenate Mark Stoops and this team. Just playing very flat, and it's gonna be a tough game. But anything can happen in the SEC. We'll find out as the Cats and the Gamecocks meet. All right, we got a lot of national televised games, so we're gonna go through this quick here. A couple of big games on Friday night. We begin at Scott Stadium in Charlottesville for an ACC showdown. 8th-ranked Florida State going to Virginia to take on the Cavaliers. This is a trap game, in my opinion, because Florida State gets Miami next week in Tallahassee the following Saturday. Got to go on the road on a Friday night. Is the upset alert mirror going off? It may be. We'll find out. Virginia's playing very well right now. But Florida State, bouncing back from the 2-10 season, undefeated, got the big win over Alabama in week 1, and now their first ACC game. This is a game that I would be scoreboard watching if you're at a local high school football game. You might want to check this phone, or if not, I would definitely check this game out on TV. Like I said, this is the week before Florida State plays Miami. Find out, can an upset happen as the Seminoles meet the Cavaliers. All right, Friday night on Fox from the Big 12, TCU, number 24 in the country, going to the desert to take on Arizona State. Arizona State, highly ranked at the beginning of the season with Sam Leavitt and Kenny Dillingham, the head coach. But since that Mississippi State loss, they've fell out of the top 25, trying to get a big win in conference play, taking on a TCU team that's climbing up in the rankings and playing very well right now. So kind of like Florida State and Virginia. This is not really an upset alert game, but definitely one that should be fun to watch late Friday night, kind of winding down the night as the Frogs take on the Sun Devils. All right, going to Saturday here. Big Ten action, or as we call it, the Rose Bowl Conference. Number 21 USC taking on number 23 Illinois, noon on Fox. USC playing pretty well with Lincoln Riley. The Trojans just slowly climbing in the top 25, but coming off the game against Michigan State, they played late, at least late in our standards, and now they got to play an early game. Will be a 9 a.m. start for them, but 11 a.m. local time. So we'll see what happens with the Trojans. Meanwhile, for Illinois, they just got shellacked by Indiana last week on the road. Can Brett Bielema get this team playing back to consistent football here? They dropped dropped big time from the number 9 slot in the rankings all the way to 23. But it will be the Trojans and the Illini to start the day off in college football. Other action in the Rose Bowl Conference. Number 1 Ohio State heading to Seattle to take on the Washington Huskies. Both teams undefeated. Obviously, one has a ranking, the other one not. But I don't know if the upset alert meter will be on display. But, kind of a tricky road game. At Husky Stadium, kind of a tricky place to play, if you will. But, Ohio State's a very talented team in general. Just playmakers all over. Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs, and just NFL talent all the way around. But should be fun to see Ohio State playing in a stadium that they hadn't played in ever or a long time at Washington. But it's the Buckeyes and the Huskies. 3:30 on Peacock. Get those subscriptions ready. Right now, the hottest team in college football, Indiana, put up 63 against Illinois last week, heading to Iowa to take on the Hawkeyes. Fernando Mendoza, right now the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. as we hit the final week in September. Can Kirk Cignetti and the Illini continue to play at a high level and try to pick up a big road win against Iowa? Or will the Hawkeyes pull up the upset? But it's the Hoosiers and the Hawkeyes Saturday. All right, 7 o'clock ESPN. Arizona heading to Ames to take on another team from Iowa State. Rocco Bennett and Iowa State having a great season. Matt Campbell, the head coach. Iowa State trying to win their first conference title in forever. So, like I said, they're playing very well, but taking on the undefeated Arizona team, looking for a signature win this season. They've kind of played lesser competition up to this point. But could Arizona go on the road and pull out a huge upset win? We shall see. It's the Wildcats and the Cyclones Saturday night. And finally, the game of the week of college football, 7:30 NBC, wide out at Beaver Stadium, as the 6th-ranked Oregon Ducks come into town to take on number 3 Penn State. And you talk about, Oregon and just defending Big Ten champion. Matter of fact, this is a rematch from the Big Ten championship game last year. You got Penn State's got the 2 running backs, Singleton and Kajon, dynamic duo, and Drew Aller at quarterback. Meanwhile, for Oregon, with Dante Moore at quarterback, it's going to be a tough environment. The wideout is always dangerous and always loud for Penn State. Should be a lot of fun. 7:30 on NBC, the game of the week. All right, that's going to wrap it up for Tailgate Thursday. A lot of great college football action. One of the best weekends we've got. And I'm excited to see all these games. And I hope you are too. Until next week, this is David Morrison for Tailgate Thursday. As always,